What's up, fish tank people? FishTankTV.com. Dustin's Fish Tanks bring it to you on a Monday, baby. How's everybody doing? I hope you're doing well. So today I want to show you my most favorite tank at the moment right now. We were on the small tank series, took a little bit of a hiatus from that, but we have set up a 5-gallon and then two 10-gallons. Make sure you check those videos out. You can see how those tanks were coming together. We are going to move back to the small tank series, but I did have a good time both moving off to the ShamWow
make sure none of your
and
neighbors,
to the
friends,
top
relatives,
10
anybody.
videos, which I'm going to keep the top 10 videos going. So speaking of the ShamWow spoof, got the audio. Hope the audio is a little bit better for you today. So here's what's going on. I'm going to break it down for you on the Fluval B26. I got the 10-gallon right behind me, and I've got a little 5-gallon back there that I want to show you, and I'm going to break down which one is my favorite. I'm going to start with the Fluval B26 right here. As I got the good camera out for you today. Get you moving over this way here. This is the B26, stands for bow front. Absolutely love this tank in person, hate this tank on camera because I cannot seem to like demonstrate how the bow front comes out and how it really makes the tank, because this stick and the driftwood in here actually comes out into this bow front, which I really like the design of. I am rocking the duckweed. We'll start from top to bottom. I've got the duckweed in here. I've got the Coral Life 150 watt metal halide on there. And then we just all boost trees, baby. Busa philandra all day long. It is sad how this plant has been pillaged in the wild and is not as readily available as it once was. Get you a closer look right here. This is the Busa philandra underneath the halide. I believe the metal halide, heck, I know a metal halide gives the Busa philandra something extra that it needs. This is a tricolor boost, so you can see right in there that I'm really, really loving. Tricolor's got the 3 colors on it, and it's got the little crystals on it that I just absolutely dig. You guys can check that out right there. Dig in the dark, or the multicolors on the Busa philandra here. This stuff takes time to grow in, but it's totally worth it if you can get your hands on some of it. Do it, because it's a sweet plant. I was running one bed of fish and one bed of fish only in here. That was it, and the goal was just to simply have it be almost a self-sustaining tank. I was hoping that the bed of fish would actually eat on the cherry shrimp. I'm going to zoom in on some of the cherries here. The cherry shrimp breeds so prolifically that I was hoping, wishing and thinking that, hey, I'll have the cherry shrimp in here and they'll just breed so much that they'll actually just feed the betta fish and the betta fish will eat off of them. Well, actually, he quickly devoured all the baby cherries that I had in here. The problem was they weren't reproducing enough fast enough to keep him healthy and well fed, so he actually got a little bit thin. I had to beef him up a little bit. You can see another cherry shrimp in the back there. I'm having a good time with these fire red cherries. Great stuff. And then here's the boost down here underneath the halide. That's an even better example of what I've got going on in this tank. That's a junk ass rippins right there. And then I've got, of course, I've got the baby tears down here. I do like the baby tears a lot. However, with the baby tears is a little bit more high maintenance than I would like, because it does need hacked and replanted, but that's okay. I've also got another plant in here that I recently got in that I did not put on my website because I want to play with it, and that is a Conodorus tenalis. Looks a heck of a lot like dwarf sage, but it's not. Related to an Amazon sword, this stuff back here. Now this is in probably just around the 2-week mark, so it's really just now starting to get a hold of itself, which I'm excited to see how this will turn out. This has a little bit of a grass effect going on in there that should be pretty good once it gets rolling. There's an Apongeton longiplumilosis coming out the top there. So this tank is a lot of fun, but let's roll out from here and move on to the 10-gallon tank. And as we move down from the Fluval B26, you'll notice there's hardly any algae. I didn't scrape any algae off of there. There's no algae on that sucker right here. We're going to move down to the Lion King tank, and I'm absolutely loving the Lion King tank. People pointed out that this kind of looks like Pride Rock right here. This rock, Simba, and whatever the other characters are, hanging out in the Lion King, so I like that. I love how we went above the rim. It was one of the bigger risks I've taken aquascaping. I do like the way it turned out. And I'm using a ton of easy plants in here. You'll notice there's no algae in the B26. There's also hardly any algae at all in here. And the reason for that is simple. There is a heavy plant load, and there is a light fish load. I'm going to talk about that more in just a second when I talk to the 5-gallon here. But look down here. You can see this betta fish is totally loving it. He has just been hanging out. I've actually had this tank, to be honest, this tank has been chocked full of a bunch of this really ridiculous willow moss that I got in that I'm just kind of growing out. So I am loving this fish though. Betta fish, just I've got a thing for him. Got a couple of them out in the greenhouse as well. He's hiding down there. But this tank has grown in really nicely. I like the kind of jungle effect of it. You know, it's got a bunch of easy plants. We're dealing with the, you know, any beginners. Like, this is a straight just beginner style tank. All you got to do is use Java Fern. This is the Java Fern right here. We got the Java Moss right here. It's actually a little bit of Bulbitis in there. Now, that's Anubias gigantea. That's not a beginner's Anubias. Then we've got some Elodia. But you'll notice this is going on here. This happens with Java Fern. Periodically, you'll just get some funky looking leaves. That's what happens. Like, it just does that. It's got good green growth here, and it's got a couple other ones. I should trim those off. But you can see the betta fish is down here. I love it when they just know they're on camera and they just show up like that. So this actually, while I like this tank a lot, it is not my favorite at this time, although I do want to point something really cool out that happened. Check this out. If you look closely at this, you can see right here, I've got this little bit of a growth coming out. This is just something that's naturally growing off of the rock right there. You guys see that? I'll pick the camera up and show you all that. Check that out. Isn't that pretty legit? Just some random little rock, random little thing growing off the top. I've also got a little something in the top here. I don't know if that's going to make it or not, but a little bit of random growth off of there. And if anybody's got any suggestions on plants that grow up out of the water that could grow along this, please let me know. But overall, the Lion King tank, pretty legit. Pretty happy with the way it's turning out. Come on up, buddy. Let me see you swim. I do want to work on the stands, but I've got that other 10 that I'm actually going to probably set next to this and make kind of like a combo tank. So the stand is kind of bush league at this time. But nonetheless, fun little 10-gallon for sure. And last, but certainly not least, my favorite tank, the 5-gallon. That's right. Let me pull you in closer. You can see it sits on my desk right here. Got my 2 monitors set up, and then I got my little 5-gallon that just kind of chills right on the edge there, just a little 5-gallon. But what's in this 5-gallon is what makes it fun. Let me pull you in a little closer. But I got to tell you, folks, of all the tanks that I have, this one brings me the most joy. And this is part of the small tank series, and I want to point out some things to you guys why I love this tank. First and foremost, this tank is only 5 gallons, but I've gone and put 4 fish into it. Now, I have intentionally left the algae on here. I do very little water changes, and I'm treating this like a total like beginner would as tank. It's a 5-gallon aquarium. It doesn't have a lot of room to screw up. You'll notice the Fluval B26 I showed you first, the 10-gallon whatever, both of those only have 1 fish in them. They've got a ridiculously high plants to fish ratio. This tank, conversely, like most beginner tanks, does not have a high plant load, but it does have a heavy fish load. What does that give us? Algae. So I'm going to zoom in here and show you kind of some of what's going on with that. It's not a big deal because it's a 5-gallon aquarium. So, I mean, dealing with a 5-gallon, getting algae under control is not a big deal. So you can see I do have some algae along the back there. I've also got some stuff. I actually cleaned up a little bit of the cyano. I had some cyano on some of the rocks right here. But look at these fish. These are Hamburg blackfish that I got when I was out in St. Louis at the Live Bears convention. These fish are babies of some parents that I've got out in the 55 out in the greenhouse. I totally love these fish. I think there's like 3 females to 1 male in there. We've got a heavier fish load. We have a lighter plant load, and that is part of the problem. So we have a light plant load. We have a heavy fish load. I don't feed them that much, but still I ended up getting a little bit of cyano. You can see some of the cyano that I had on there. You can also see that there's a lighter plant load. So that's the thing. This tank is off balance. What I need to do to get this tank balanced is I need to add more plants, like twice to 3 times as many plants as what I have in here, and then lightly feed the fish. I have the lights on for 8 hours. I've gotten some algae. That's too much. So a heavier plant load will ultimately make your life easier and make it more balanced. Quick note on balance, you'll notice this video is coming out on Monday. Your boy D got a little bit off balance as well. I had to take a break from making Sunday videos. I'm not saying I'm never going to make a video on Sunday again, but for now we are going to take a little break. I got to tell you, I had an absolute blast hanging out with my family. So this is my favorite tank right now because there's so many lessons in it. We got algae, we have too many fish, not enough plants, we had our lights on a little bit too long. Reduce your lights, add more plants, and go on the water changes. Tank on, everybody. Later.